Now, we're going to talk about the virus now.
We are. Let's find out just how it is on the front line. You'll be familiar with Dr Larisa, quite often in our studio, but she has volunteered to be redeployed. She's on an intensive care unit in a hospital in London. Larisa, good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, we're very well, but how are you coping? Tell us how it is on the ward. You're, as we said, in intensive care, so it must be very, very difficult for you and your colleagues.
Yes, it is difficult. Last time I connected with you and with Phil and Holly, I spoke about how hard it was just to see people so helpless in the face of this disease and just how poorly they really are and how ravaged their bodies are by the entire condition, not being able to do what we consider, and take for granted really simple functions like basic breathing, keeping their blood circulating and so on. But this Easter was particularly hard because there are still so many poorly people, and I myself personally was involved in helping to resuscitate someone this weekend where we all remained behind after a long 12-hour shift. To do that, the patient became really, really unwell, and the following morning when I went in, it was Easter morning, I ran up to the ward to find out. I had all this hope that he'd survived and he'd made it, and I so desperately wanted to hear that. And as soon as I spoke with the nurses, they just bowed their heads, and I knew that he hadn't. And that was really hard. I actually, I started to cry, and behind my entire gown and mask, and I tried to sort of keep it together and stifle these tears. And our wonderful cleaner, who is just absolutely amazing, all of the cleaners here are, they do such a difficult job, and they handle very toxic waste that's in all of these baskets and bins that we have to get rid of and not use ever again. They handle each and every day, and they do it over and over again. And she stood there, and she just, obviously we can't hug one another, but she just said, I'm so sorry. And it's the camaraderie in these situations. It's the fact that no matter how hard and difficult it is to witness death and to see so many people not make it, that everyone is pulling together and everyone is there for one another. And we're sitting together, we're talking, we're having cups of tea, we're taking breaks because it gets very hot underneath all of our protective equipment as well. So especially in the Easter weekend heat that we just had, so we take moments out to take it off, to just have some water and to just tune in with one another. And that helps immensely to just keep us sane and to really manage the mental and emotional impact of dealing with some of this.
Well, Larisa, you talk there with great emotion about, losing a patient there. But this is a disease which keeps families apart, and this is the virus, and this causes death. This is where families just cannot say goodbye. You witness something you don't want to witness. A lot of families obviously would want to be there as their loved one passes away, but people just can't say goodbye, which is doubly horrible.
Yeah, we're trying. It's a really, really difficult one, Eamonn, because of course we have to limit the spread of this infection, and it is heartrending for all of us not to be able to allow families in. But what we do each day is contact the families, each and every single one of these families, to tell them how their loved ones are doing, because that is so, so important, and they're waiting on the edge of their phones, all day to hear from us. And in this particular instance, actually, because we could see that there was a real chance that this patient, was not going to make it, we did actually call his relative in, and we did say, you may want to start making your way to the hospital. So we are trying to anticipate as much as we can to allow the relatives to have time to come in and to spend those last few moments with their loved ones in protective gear, of course, but it is limited to just one person. And what we also try and do is, with the patients, even those who are heavily sedated, and there are many because they're on these ventilators which are supporting their life, I personally make an effort, and all of my colleagues as well, to go around and to talk to them and to just hold them and to touch them and to be by their side and to speak to them, because I believe that the subconscious is capable of healing through a lot of this. And, when they do wake up, I had another gentleman I was looking after, and he doesn't speak a lot of English. And while I was chatting with him, I really did wonder, can he understand any of what I'm saying? And so I just said to him, please squeeze my hand if any of this makes sense. And he just kept squeezing it over and over and over again. And it was just this pure moment of joy where we both started to cry. And it just meant so much that he could hear me and that it made a difference to him. And I have another 70-year-old patient I'm looking after who I promised I will get pregnant when she makes it out and I will deliver her baby.
That's some promise.
And I'm even saving her an Easter egg for when she makes it out. So I'm being very, very diligent over that Easter egg and keeping it in my house.
Larisa, it's amazing that you have volunteered to be there. And as you said, you're not just treating these patients medically, but you're also giving them pastoral care and you're giving them hope and you're giving them love. And I'm sure their families are so grateful for that. Keep on doing the amazing work you're doing, and our love and respect to you and your colleagues as well. Thank you so much from all of us.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you so much for all your support and for the public's general support. It's amazing. And I love this piece of art that you've just shown.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
It is. It is. Thank you so
Larisa.
much.
And thank you, Larisa. Take care.
As you say, she's a volunteer there. Dr. Larisa Corda is normally an obstetrician and gynaecologist there, and she volunteered to be redeployed to an intensive care unit in London. Well done, her.